One of the biggest lies about your marriage is that your spouse should be everything that we need. But then when they inevitably fall short, then we think something is wrong in the marriage.
What's up, everyone? We're
Hey,
back with
we are
episode number 8 of the Late Night Conversations podcast.
Yes.
Talk about why is marriage so hard. It's the
Yes.
number one thing we've heard people say. Why is marriage,
so hard?
And we want to help you discover some realities and some tools to help you to improve your marriage, because I don't think it's intended to be hard. I think we make it hard.
That's right. I think so. I think that we just think that it should be hard.
Am I allowed to do this on our own podcast? I think I'm allowed to do this. The light's a vibe. It kind of gives us our vibe.
I was wondering what you were looking at when you were looking behind me.
Well, the last episode, the bush was animated because your sleeve kept hitting it. And then I'm kind of side-eyeing, realizing I didn't turn
I
that
was like,
on.
you kind of threw me for a loop because you kept looking behind, like over my shoulder, and I was like, what is he looking at? So, sorry. Okay.
Why is marriage
Back
so hard?
to why is marriage so hard. Yes. This is episode
number 8.
Yes. I'm so excited.
Yeah. We're moving along.
And this is so, I feel like this is one of the funnest things we've ever done in life. Obviously outside of having our family, but this has really been very fun.
Yeah. It's just us being together again.
Doing what we love to do.
Yeah. And encouraging people in something that we feel is valuable, in something that we respect ourselves, and in something that we want to give ourselves to. We are here not to show people, look how good we are. We're here to help them realize it can be better, and it will be better if you use these tools and these concepts and these episodes to your benefit.
That's right. So in this episode, we're going to be talking a lot about expectations for our spouse. And maybe you have some unspoken expectations.
Yep.
Maybe you have some needs that you actually haven't communicated yet to your spouse. Maybe you are really wanting your spouse to read your mind, which let's talk a little bit about that. Let's start from the beginning.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to start talking about the reading your mind.
Oh, well, go ahead. Okay, go ahead.
Let's
talk about reading your mind.
I think that this is generalizing, right?
Yes.
So it's not like this all the time, but I think that that's one of the hardest things for men in a relationship is, I think, and I'm sure it's for women too. I'm not saying it's just one-sided, but I think women are just more complex in general. It's just the way you're created. And so
I would say yes.
Sharing your actual expectations or your needs or your desires in a healthy way too.
Right.
Not a if it's critical, it's not going to be received well, and then you're probably not going to get or receive what you need. But I think that unspoken, expectations that we have for each other is really dangerous, because what we're doing is we're trying to put the weight of our entire world on the shoulders of one person.
That's right.
What I'm really doing is I'm trying to get you to be 20 different people in my life.
Right.
And for us, I mean, I think we go good together. I think we made the right choice, baby.
Yeah.
I mean, because we work so good together, but it's not like, we haven't had to learn how to do that. But, like, so for example, you've got to be and this belongs to one person and one person only, the romantic partner.
That's right.
That belongs to one person, your spouse. You cannot go outside the relationship to look for another romantic partner.
That's right.
But we're also, business partners. And even if you're not true business partners like we are, then your home and your family is your business. So you're doing financial planning and, you're doing counseling with each other. If you actually talk
Right.
which that's why we do this podcast,
Healthy conversations.
late night
We want to
conversations.
spark healthy conversations.
Let's get people in
Yes.
marriages talking
Yes.
in the morning, at night, throughout the day, whatever it looks like. But if you actually talk and communicate, then we're able to, alleviate some of these things. But like, we've got to be each other's therapists because we're talking,
Right.
We've got to be each other's, I don't know, there's probably a long list of things. Best friend, which, I mean, we settled that pretty early. We
Right.
settled that when we were dating.
Yeah.
We decided we're going to be best friends.
That's right.
And you know what?
We were best friends actually before we ever got married. I mean, we were friends.
Yeah, I mean, I knew what I wanted from the relationship. I knew I wanted one thing and one thing only, a best friend that was going to be my wife. That's what I was looking for.
And I said
that'd probably be a
that
good
I
episode,
wanted to
Just friends.
just be just friends. And look, our marriage was based on the foundation of friendship. Isn't that
That's right.
amazing?
We should probably do an episode just on that. It's
I
probably
would
a great
love
one.
to do that. Yeah.
But you're expecting a best friend, and you should. I mean, you are going to bed, sleeping with this person. You are physical, intimate acts together with this person. What's closer than that? I mean,
Yeah.
you're not supposed to be doing those things with anyone else.
Yeah.
I mean, so they should be your best friend, career advisor, spiritual partner, therapist, adventure buddy, co-parent, financial planner. There's the weight of all of these different needs that are very real that we lay on top of a person that is on their best day incapable of being all those things at the same time.
That's right.
So there's this rule that we like to use. We didn't come up with this. We learned this, but I think it's one of the greatest rules that you can use in a relationship. And it's the 80-20 rule.
Yeah.
And here's how it works. Your spouse is only able to provide 80% of everything you need.
Right.
And the reason is not because they don't love you. It's not because, they're not trying to. It's because they can't.
They can't.
They are a human being, and we cannot be everything for everyone. And so there's this rule in relationships called the 80-20 rule, where the person you're with is going to need to provide 80% of all of those needs. The other 20%, you're going to have to rely on some good, healthy, keyword here is healthy, relationships.
Right.
And so that's why being a part of a community of people is great for relationships, because you're able to lean in to some of these other things that listen, even you, like right now you might be frustrated with your spouse because they're not being this for you. Well, you have to realize there is something that you're not being for your spouse also.
Right.
It might not be matching up at that time, but there's something you can't be either all the time. And so we've got to just realize that we have to be really, really cautious in how we're meeting that other 20%.
Right.
That's the key.
Yeah.
So your partner cannot be everything to you all the time.
Right.
They should be your best friend, but you should have some really good friends outside of your
That's
marriage.
right. Yeah.
We have some good friends outside of our marriage. Friends that
they add value
That's right.
to who we are as people, but then they also add value to who we are as a married couple.
Yep.
And so I think that's really, really important, as if you're going to have friendships outside of your marriage, which we do encourage you to. But look for people that are going to actually add value to you, that actually they can be honest with you. They can share truth with you. They can, help you work through some things. And I think that will also just alleviate some of the stress and pressure off of who we are individually in our marriage too.
Right.
So.
And we have found probably 100%, I'm just trying to think through my head, but probably 100% of those trusted, healthy friendships were all found and created and cultivated in the church.
That's right.
We are pastors. This is not necessarily a faith-based, podcast.
Mm-hmm.
It's a podcast for marriages, but God created marriage,
Mm-hmm.
God created the church, and they kind of work together. And our best friends were all found within the church because the
Mm-hmm.
church, at its core, is a community of people
Mm-hmm.
that is helping to provide the needs
Mm-hmm.
of the couple, of the marriage. You've got each other,
Mm-hmm.
you've got your immediate family,
Mm-hmm.
and then you've got your church family.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of how it should look, really.
Yeah.
That's kind of how God designed us and created us.
Right.
And so we just got to be careful
Mm-hmm.
who we're going to for what. We
That's
can't
right.
cross a line. There's one line for sure you aren't supposed to cross. You cannot find someone, if your spouse is not, meeting the romantic partner part of your relationship,
Mm-hmm.
going and finding that in any way, shape, or form, emotionally, physically, sexually, whatever it looks like, outside
Mm-hmm.
of the marriage is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It's damaging.
Yeah.
It's hurtful. It leads to something else, even if it's emotional. Just,
That's
I
right.
needed someone to talk to about this.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to your spouse.
Mm-hmm.
And if you feel like you can't talk to them,
Mm-hmm.
then go to a trusted friend, or maybe, just maybe, you need a counselor. I don't know. There's good counselors. Find a good counselor maybe
Yeah.
that can help fill that, because we don't want to cross boundaries that were never intended to cross. And that whether we think in the moment it feels good or it's helpful,
Mm-hmm.
it's harmful.
Yeah.
Because that's the way God created us.
That's
Where
right.
there's certain things we don't go outside of the relationship for. But the 80-20 rule makes sure that we're not overloading our spouse
Mm-hmm.
with all of the burden
Mm-hmm.
of everything that we always need. And we all need these
Mm-hmm.
things.
That's
That's just
right.
that's reality. Here's when we get into the expectations and needs. Here's where we really get into some good stuff. Here's where we really get in. Let's talk about unspoken assumptions.
Mm-hmm.
Unspoken assumptions.
Yeah.
What are some unspoken assumptions people might have?
That the other spouse should know when I'm stressed. You should know when I'm stressed.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say that after a long period of time, if you've been married for a long period of time, then you're going to know these things.
Yeah.
About your spouse. You're going to know their mannerisms, and you're going to know, the looks that they give you from across the room. Like, you're just going to know what those things mean automatically.
Mm-hmm.
But there are some things that you're not going to know that you are learning currently.
Right.
And I think that, so you should know when I'm stressed.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the reality is, it took a little while because you personally are not an outwardly
Internal.
Stressed out looking person. Like, it took me forever to figure out when you actually were stressed, or even if you were at all.
Mm-hmm.
And so if those things aren't communicated to your spouse, they cannot read your mind.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to say, hey, you know what? I'm dealing with a lot right now, and I feel really overloaded in this one area or several of these areas. Can you please, maybe take some of the load, or can we just talk about it? I feel better if I can have a conversation
Yep. You're a conversator.
with him. I'm just like, after the conversation, I'm like, wow, I feel so much better.
Mm-hmm.
And I really do, because it just helps me process better if I'm able to verbally, process things in a healthy way, of course.
Again, back to learning each other.
Mm-hmm.
I had to learn you're not nagging.
Mm-mm.
You're just needing to talk. You're not even necessarily venting half the time. You're just needing to talk through
I just
either
need
what
like
you're
a
thinking
sounding
or what
board,
you're feeling. And in reverse, I'm an internal processor.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm not going to talk right away like you will.
Mm-hmm.
And when we learned that about each other,
Mm-hmm.
which that's the goal of marriage, learning each other more and more, deeper and deeper, day by day, it makes the marriage so much easier.
Yeah.
We're talking about why marriage is so hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard because we make it hard because we don't do simple things like this.
Mm-hmm.
Do you process externally or internally?
I process
And so
externally, you process internally.
when we know that,
Yeah,
it's butter, baby.
that's right. And sometimes, I will say this is really funny, but there had been times where I just could not sleep because remember, I'm trying to process things, and sometimes things get so much for me and heavy pressure and everything that I'm like, man, I have got to get this off my chest. Like, I've got. And so you would be asleep, and I'd be like, hey, wake. Can, I need
Mm-hmm.
to tell you something, or something like that, just to get it off my chest, be
Yeah.
like, hey, this happened today, or
Yeah.
this is what's been really bothering me, and to the point where, now it's bothering my sleep. And
Right.
so you being so gracious and really like taking your time out and just saying, okay, like, tell me.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's such a good just person to go to
I'm a
if,
listener.
yes, he's such a good listener. And I think that's what really helps make us work,
Mm-hmm.
is because you are, and you're so gracious with that too.
And
So,
I recognize, as we're talking about that, I recognize some growth in our own relationship. I
mm-hmm.
mean this seriously. When was the last time you had to wake me up?
I mean, it's been
Because we're
years.
because we're communicating better and
Yeah.
more often,
Mm-hmm.
and so we're not going to sleep without talking to each other,
Mm-hmm.
or at least about not about important things,
Right.
And so I think that just shows the growth and the evolution. Versus what happens in a lot of relationships is you just get further apart instead of knowing each other more
Mm-hmm.
and better and more intimately. We let life get in the way, and we're miles apart
Mm-hmm.
when it wasn't intended to be that way, and we're wondering why is marriage so hard. Well,
Mm-hmm.
you're living on two different planets. It's going to
Yeah.
be hard. Um, what about this? I think we should talk about this.
Hmm.
Here's an unspoken assumption: you should support me the way I should support you.
Yeah.
And I think that really in our dynamic, and
Mm-hmm.
I hate that, a lot of married couples, and maybe they don't want it this way, and we don't care which way you want it. We're not telling you you're a bad person if you don't have it this way, but
Mm-hmm.
our dynamic that we were able to work out was you were able to stay at home once we had kids.
Mm-hmm.
You worked all the way up till you were
Mm-hmm.
probably 9 months pregnant, still working.
Yeah.
But once we had Hannah, you stayed home,
Mm-hmm.
and then I was the sole provider,
Mm-hmm.
and it was that way for the entirety of the relationship until the kids got older,
Mm-hmm.
and so there's this thing here about supporting each other where you can feel unsupported with the kids because you're at home all day with them, but then I can feel unsupported because I've got the weight of all of the bills on my shoulder,
Mm-hmm.
and there's this unspoken expectation and assumption
Mm-hmm.
that, well, you should just do that because, that's what you wanted, by the way. And
Mm-hmm.
hey, you're the man anyways, and that's what you're supposed to do is provide. If we would just have a conversation,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
if we would
Truly.
just share our feelings about that, this is how it works. Honey, I am feeling really overwhelmed and stressed
Mm-hmm.
about our financial situation right now.
Mm-hmm.
Now, guess what? I've got it out and off of my chest.
Mm-hmm.
And now, you know what her response has been every time that's been a situation? How can I help?
Yeah.
How can we cut
How
back?
can
What
we
do we, how do we
resolve
work
this?
together?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And so, if the kids are a heavy burden for you in a season, which they're older now, so that's not really the reality.
Yeah.
But, hey, how can I, honey,
Help relieve
I get
some
home
of that
from
burden.
you're literally pulling your hair out of your head maybe because they've just been driving you crazy.
Mm-hmm.
How can I take the child from you? How can I be the parent? Because after all, husbands, you are not a babysitter when your wife needs a break. You are their father.
And I remember there was a season when our kids were little that you just feel the pressure and the weight of your full-time mom. That it never stops. People are the kids are always going to need something, But when they were little, I remember there would be times where you would come in from work and we would literally tag it, and I would be out the door, and I would use that time to just get away and work out. and then come back, later on and help you put the kids in bed and all that. But just that little space, that I had in the evening when you got home helped relieved a lot of pressure, off of me. And that's another way that we just chose, how can we work together?
Teamwork.
Yes, how can we do this
We're
together?
a team.
And so it helped me, you helped me, and and I was better for it because then I could help the kids better. And so just knowing where you're at, with all of that.
Yeah.
But then also I want to talk about this one too. You should want to talk about everything with me. So there's that one.
Yeah.
You should want to talk about everything with me. And I will say, although I am a talker and I like to talk about everything, there are some things that I feel like I really can't speak to. I don't know. Like I may not have the answer that you may be looking for or whatever. And you just have to be honest and say, maybe you should seek some outside counsel or guidance on this, or
Phone a friend.
maybe you should ask one of your good friends, or you know what I'm saying? You just have to know, I don't, and it's okay not to know. And it's okay to express the fact that you don't know.
80-20.
But just to assume that you have to have all the answers for your spouse about every single little thing in life, that's not going to happen. It's just an unrealistic expectation of your spouse. And I think a lot of times too, we can create this Jerry Maguire moment. I know we've talked about it before, not on this podcast necessarily, but we've talked about the Jerry Maguire moment of you complete me. And that's a false reality, guys. Let's be honest.
Sounds good, but
I mean, it sounds so good, and it sounds like, it could happen, but no. I mean, let's be real. It took a little while for me to realize that although his last name is Knight, and I do see him as a knight in shining armor, he can't complete me to the capacity that I need him to, because that's just putting a burden on him, and that's expecting him to be everything to me, and he just cannot do that. However, because we are believers, okay? We believe in the one who can, and that's Jesus. And so when I realized that, Jesus is the one first and foremost who completes me.
that's the scripture.
I find my completion
We're
in
complete
him.
in him. Yep.
Okay? And once that is a reality for you, then it's like we can step into this marriage, and we can, help each other along the journey together, supporting each other, not putting these unrealistic expectations on each other.
Right. Yep.
So that's what I have to say about the Jerry Maguire moment.
Uh-oh. Broke someone's heart. But that's all right.
Yep.
Jesus can put it back together.
That's right.
Here's as we're kind of coming to the end, possibly, of this episode. Here's a big statement. A healthy marriage doesn't meet every need. It supports each other while building a life that includes other people. Let's go back to the 80-20. What happens oftentimes, listen to me, folks out there. What happens oftentimes is we get hyper obsessed and fixated on the 20% our spouse isn't providing in that moment.
Yeah.
We go outside of the marriage and create something that is dangerous and that is harmful. And we are looking to this other person who is only giving, our partner's giving us 80% of what we need, which is basically 100% for a human being. They're giving us their all. We found this one thing that they're just not being able to give right now in this moment. We go find it in someone else, and then want to throw away the entire relationship of someone who you said till death do our part to All because more than likely, let's get to the root of it. This is late night conversations.
Yeah, do it.
Because you didn't talk about it. That's the, I mean,
Yeah.
Unfortunately, if we could probably just never do another episode if we just told people, do the title of our podcast.
Talk. Yeah.
Have a conversation,
Yeah.
communicate, talk.
Mm-hmm.
People just don't talk.
No, they don't.
And when they don't talk, they don't know. They're not mind readers. And stuff just builds up. And it's bad.
And it gets messy.
And you think this new person who's giving you 20% is the next knight in shining armor, and they got so many chinks in their armor, you don't even notice how bad of a person they actually are, how bad of a match for each other y'all actually are, because you're hyper obsessed on this one small part. That's
right.
why a community of people around you is exactly what you need. Close friends, mentors, a church community, family relationships, accountability relationships.
Yes.
Like you got to have some people in your life
They're
that
going
can
to get in
hold
your
you
face
accountable.
and tell you,
And
this is what you need to do.
And here's the key. You've got to give them the access to do that.
Right. That's true.
Like, if every time they try and lean into your life and give you some counsel or advice, and you just ignore it, more than likely they're going to stop leaning in.
Yeah.
Or better yet, you've got to have someone that you might be able to go to and call on, or pick up the phone and call or text. Say, hey, this is what we're dealing with. I need help.
That's right.
I don't need another person. I don't need another spouse. I just need help navigating this part.
That's right.
And if we do that, man, I think that it's going to be beautiful.
That's right. Hey guys, we are so glad that you were able to join us today, and I'm so glad we had this conversation. Now you can go and have the same conversation with your spouse about closing the gaps on unrealistic expectations. And if this spoke to you today, we are so thankful, and we want you to like and share this with somebody that it would be helpful to.
And we want you to subscribe. And none of those are unrealistic expectations.
That's right.
Just hit just click.
That's all you got to do.
Subscribe.
Yes.
Like, share. Just click of a button. We're not even asking for much.
Yep.
And then we'll see you next time.
That's it. See you later.